Good morning. Big Brother. I'll tell you, I was an older person, actually in my early 20s when I read 1984, George L. Orwell's novel about a future where the government, that everybody was watching you when you went home at night, when you had your dinner, who you had dinner with, who you slept with. That was George Orwell's 1984, and this was all legal in his future world that he wrote about. And wow, it's come to pass. This came across my desk. There are employers now who are actually, first of all, they're telling their employees that this is optional. This is an optional thing they can do. But employers are obviously investing themselves in their employees' fitness, their exercise routines, their health, their personal lifestyle. Now, this is not new, but this particular situation is new. This one company, and forgive me, I didn't write down, it was a quick blurb of where it was, but they actually, if the employee agrees to it, the employee wears like a Fitbit or some sort of a bracelet. And what happens is that their boss, their employer, who pays their salary, they get to monitor the steps each day that this employee takes to maintain good health, how many times they exercise, what they're eating, if they're losing weight, if they're gaining weight. Basically, the employer is like a fitness trainer. And during the episode that I watched, they did say that this is a very slippery slope, and I have to say that Political Paula agrees that this is a very slippery slope. It's bad enough that jobs, okay, think about it. Is your job your life? Because I submit to you it should not be. Your job is what you do every day for a certain amount of time to make enough money to have a life. And that life that you have outside of the 8 or 10 or however many hours you spend at work each day is yours, not your boss's. Your boss has no business and no right to say that when you get off work at 5 p.m., you need to go to the gym. And they're going to watch on a monitor to make sure that you do. What do the employees get for this? Well, they do get a financial incentive. I guess they get lower premiums maybe on their health care, or they get some sort of a thing to participate in this program. But then the question is arisen as to what happens to the employees who say, no way, hell no. When I go home from work, I'm not going to the gym. I'm going to sit on my sofa, watch TV, have a pizza, and read a book. And the boss has no business knowing that or caring about it, for that matter. I've done my duty. I went and sat at a desk for 8 hours, and I made the boss richer. And I got paid less than the boss gets paid. And now I'm coming home and I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, because that's my right. And if I go to work the next day and the boss says, oh, I notice you're not in the program. What did you do last night? None of your goddamn business, Mr. Boss. Because, see, I was off the clock. You don't need to know what I did, who I slept with, where I slept with them, what I drank, what I smoked. That's none of your business. But these employers now are making it their business. They're making it their business. They want to know everything you do off the clock. To the point where if you work for certain companies, they will give you a drug test for nicotine, legal cigarettes, that you are now, because you work for this company, not allowed to smoke in your own home. Simply because the boss says, we don't want you to smoke. Not their right. They have no right to tell you what to do, as long as it doesn't affect your job. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about the comments and the messages I get every time I talk about morbid obesity, which is where some of this big brother thing with these bosses saying you need to exercise and we'll pay for your gym membership and we want you to do this and that when you're off the clock. I get messages every time I talk about the obesity epidemic in this country. Now, it bothers me because I was part of it. I was a morbidly obese child. The people who were in charge of feeding me, my mother, my grandmother, they saw nothing wrong with the fact that in third grade, I weighed 130 pounds. And that now at age 54, I weigh 97 pounds. Think about that. A third grader, I was shorter, and I was 130 pounds. And now as an adult, I am 97 pounds. And I don't care what you think of me. Some people say I'm too thin. I feel great, and I think I look great. And it took a lot of hard work because my family did not recognize as a child that I was being given bad food. But that was my family. That was my family. Families do have a responsibility. Parents have a responsibility to give their children nutritious meals and to not allow them to be morbidly obese. But every time I say that obesity costs money, I hear morbidly obese people comment to me saying, I've never missed a day of work because I'm fat. And that's true. Okay, it's true. Back when the smoking bans were getting so popular and starting out, smokers cost employers X amount of sick days a year. I gotta tell you, I'm a smoker, and I'm a pretty heavy smoker. Not ashamed of it. Because I have never called off sick from work when I was working, and I was a smoker, never called off sick for a smoking-related issue. In fact, in all of my adult life, I have never been to a doctor for an ill visit related to anything related to smoking. I don't have, knock on wood, any smoking issues. I don't. Yeah, I have a little cough sometimes, but again, nothing that would keep me from going to a job. So all that is bullshit. Okay? I've been taken to school by people who are overweight and say we don't call off sick because we're fat. So again, we have these employers now who not only do they run our daily lives, show up at 8, work your ass off, you get half an hour for lunch, you got to tell somebody when you're taking a break or going to the bathroom or taking a vacation day or a week. All these restrictions put upon you by your boss, and now they want to get involved in your after-hours activities. Did you walk 2 miles last night after work? No, motherfucker, I went home, I ordered 2 pizzas, I sat in front of my television, and I binge-watched Game of Thrones. Because I chose to. That's my choice. See, I work for you X amount of hours a day. When I'm not on the job, I get to choose how I spend my salary, what I do when I'm not here. You are not the boss of me when I am not in this building. We have employers who are trying to force their religious beliefs on their employees. I've talked about this a lot. We're not going to put birth control on our health insurance plan because the boss's religion is against birth control, trying to force their beliefs on their employees. I know for a fact, because I interviewed someone who interviewed for a job at Chick-fil-A in Lancaster, and that person reported to me, did not want to be identified by name, and I respect that during the interview, that person was told Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays so the employees can go to church. And this person, and this is not a person who is overly sensitive by any stretch of the imagination. I know this person. But during the interview, they felt that the person interviewing them was sort of saying, we expect you to go to church on Sunday because that's why you get the day off, is to worship. There was also a thing about smoking cigarettes. Can't smoke cigarettes anywhere on or near the property. We don't really approve of drinking either. Sight and Sound Ministries, they say to their employees, if someone wants to rat you out, we see you at a bar drinking, you could lose your job. Lancaster General Hospital, if you work there, even if you are in the laundry service, you can't smoke cigarettes in your own home. If you want to be an employee at Lancaster General Hospital, you're not allowed to smoke. Even though it is legal, you're not allowed to do it off property, in your own home, on your own time, with the money that you earn going to work, which is your money, after the government takes their taxes and shit. Is any of this correct? Does a boss really have the right to not only take up way too much of your time during the week, pull you away from your family and from things you would like to be doing? How many of you love your job? Come on. I've had a lot of jobs. I've only loved 2 of them. And that was working at, actually, ironically enough, the drug rehab center, Naaman Center in E-Town. I loved that job, but I couldn't handle the commute. It was too long of a drive. But I loved the job. And I loved working at the deli at Herb's Market. I loved working at the deli because you went in, you sliced some meat, you sliced some cheese, you said hi to your regular customers, you turned out the lights at the end of the night, and you walked away, and there was no other demands upon you. Serve the customers. You could even go out for a smoke break. We went out for smoke breaks when I worked there at the deli. They didn't care if you smoked. As long as the customers got their meats, their cheeses, their macaroni and potato salad, everything was good. I liked that. I loved that job. But every other job I had was basically, I went to work every day. I hated getting up in the morning. It was like, oh my God. I got to work. I'm like, okay, remember, tonight you're going to the bar. Just make it to 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, you're headed from work. You're going to the bar, you're going to throw darts, you're going to smoke a bunch of cigarettes, you're going to have a great time. That's what got me through my workday, was the good times that the workday was going to pay for. Without the work, I couldn't afford to go to the bar and pay for the drinks and the cigarettes and bet my friends if I was going to beat them at darts, which I normally lost, so I lost money. But that's why I went to work. I didn't go to work to have the boss tell me what to do when I left work at the end of the day. That is not the boss's job. So I think this is a very slippery slope, and I'm afraid that it's becoming more and more prevalent. And I want to remind you of the fact that just because someone walks a certain amount of steps every day or goes to the gym every night after work, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, eats their veggies, drinks the smoothies, you still get sick. We know this. We know that trainer guy, the guy who spent 7 days a week in the gym, 40-something years old. He had the Widowmaker. The Widowmaker is the really bad heart attack. He's in his 40s. He was at the gym working out, boom. He was down. This guy doesn't smoke. This guy doesn't drink. He certainly gets his steps in every day. But he had a heart attack. Luke Perry, the actor, healthy, not a big drinker, not overweight by any extreme. Skinny dude, little dude, healthy, dies from a stroke. Guess how old he was? 54, my age. I do a lot worse things than Luke Perry ever did, and Luke Perry is dead. So I don't need some doctor, some government, some boss looking over my shoulder telling me how to live my life. Because see, I live my life the way that works for me. And I have a right to do that. It's called being an American. Your boss is not supposed to have the right to tell you you can't use birth control. You can't smoke legal cigarettes. You can't have a pizza and watch TV after work. You can't go to the bar after work because we don't approve of drinking in our church. You don't work for their church. You work for the boss in the secular. Hobby Lobby is not a church. Chick-fil-A is not a church. You want to get a job at a Catholic school? Hey, I did a show about that. Chick gets pregnant, not married. She got fired. She deserved to be fired. She understands because she worked for the Catholic Church. But if you're working for a craft store or a chicken shop, you should not be forced to live by your boss's religious beliefs. And if you work for some boss who is really into fitness and healthy living, you shouldn't have to live by his beliefs either. Let him force his wife and his kids to go to the gym. He can't force you, because after 5 p.m. and before 8 a.m., he is not the boss of you. You're the boss of you. You decide how you want to spend your free time. You're not going to spend your 2 weeks vacation or your 1 week vacation going to a fat farm. You're going to go to the islands where it's all inclusive and the bars are open 24/7. You're going to gain 12 pounds on the cruise and you're going to drink till you drop. That's vacation. Your boss can't tell you that that's not good for you. Oh, you missed your steps when you were on your cruise. Really? This is Big Brother, man. This is huge brother. And it's wrong. Like I said before, and I will say again and again, Americans spend more time than probably any other nation at work. We work overtime, we work more hours, we get less vacation. In Europe, they get 5 weeks a year vacation and they are forced to take it. And they're not told by their bosses like I was, well, you can only take 1 week at a time because the person who does your job doesn't want to do it for more than a week. Well, there went that trip to Australia I was planning. You don't go to Australia for a week. I wanted to take my 3 weeks all at once. Nope, not allowed to do that. Of course, my supervisor, who's had to do my job when I was out, she didn't have any problem having 2 kids in 2 years and taking 6 weeks maternity leave. And then I had to do her job for 6 weeks. That was bad enough that Big Brother, the boss, is telling you, you can't take this time vacation. We need you. You can't take this week of vacation because the person who's going to do your job is going to be out the same time. You can't take your 3 weeks vacation all at one time because it's bad for the company. The person who has to do your job doesn't want to do it. But oh, guess what? Denise is pregnant again. You can't take vacation for 6 weeks from October to Thanksgiving when the baby comes. You're going to have to do her job. No vacation for you for 6 whole weeks. Yeah. Bosses control enough. Our jobs control enough of our lives. They keep us from what we like to do. They keep us from the family, the people we want to spend time with, and force us to spend time with people who we have nothing in common with, our workmates. There's even employers who say, we have a mandatory gathering. My husband had to do it. He had to go bowling with his workmates. It was mandatory. It was during the workday. So basically they closed the office for half a day and made everybody go bowling together for team unity. What the hell is that? What they did was they bowled, they drank, they ate, they went home, and the next day they went to work and was like, yeah, hey. No lifelong friendships were formed. The job my husband does doesn't require team unity. He goes in, he does the code, he does his job, he leaves. He decides who he spends time with. You can't force people to spend time with their workmates. I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate mandatory office parties or Christmas parties or 4th of July barbecues at the boss's house. And everybody has to go. Why? I don't choose to spend my 4th of July with my employer and my workmates. I want to spend 4th of July with my real friends and my family. And yet some people are forced to go to these events. It's like the boss wants you to be a family, and he wants to be the big daddy, the big brother. And he wants to boss you around even when you're not at work. And I submit to you that's wrong. I'd love to hear your opinions as always. Do you want your boss looking at you and going, guess you didn't go to the gym last night looking a little punchy. Have you gained some weight? Or, hey, to one of his favorites, good job. I saw on my computer you went to the gym every day last week and you've lost 4 pounds. Good job, attaboy. Here's your check, your bonus. Is that where we want to go here? Where employees get bonuses now for something that has nothing to do with their job performance, but instead has to do with their performance outside of work? You do an awesome job, but you didn't go to the gym. No bonus for you. You still smoke. No bonus for you. Even though you're the best at what you do at the office. But oh, there's that old slacker, always making mistakes that you have to correct, but he's lost 10 pounds this month. He gets a bonus. Is that fair? Is that how we're going to evaluate employees now? By their fitness training? By how they look? By what they weigh? What they do when they're not at work? Sorry, big brother. You can go straight to hell. I am blessed to not have to work outside this house. I don't have to go to a job and let some stranger decide that all of a sudden he's my big brother, or he's my father, or he's my priest. I don't have to deal with people like that, thank God. But I do worry about those of you who do. I worry about that because it's getting worse. And we need to put a stop to it right now. In fact, I think we need an act of Congress to say that employers cannot try to encourage or force any employee to exercise, to stop smoking, unless it affects job performance, which again, being fat and smoking usually doesn't. Now, if you're some kind of alcoholic and you show up for work drunk, yes, that's a problem. But as long as you don't show up for work drunk, it's not the boss's business. If you leave work at 5 p.m., you go to the bar and you sit there till 2 a.m. As long as you don't show up to work drunk and it doesn't affect your work performance, none of the boss's business. Did you get your 32-ounce bottles of water in last night? Actually, I did. I mixed it with vodka. Delicious. I even had some orange juice for vitamin C with vodka. What do you think of that, big brother? Your boss is not your brother, and your boss is not your father. And he's not the boss of you when you're off the clock. And I think it's time that employees everywhere, we organize yourselves, and take back your freedom to go to work from 8 to 5 or 3 to 11 or 11 to 7, put in your time, but when you leave the job, you also leave the boss. When you leave that job, you're the boss. You're the boss of you. Political Paula, out.